What's up, everybody? Welcome to another NBA Thursday from Draft and Stash. As always, I'm Andrew, joined by Frank.
What's going on?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody who checked out our mock draft video here recently, our final mock. I'll put a little link in here somewhere for it. It blew up, man, and at no point did I ever expect anybody to watch it, and it's very cool. Thank you guys so much. The love is not does not go unnoticed, even if you didn't agree with our picks, or if you did agree with our picks. Thank you either way for all the likes and the comments and everything. You guys are awesome. But before we can get into any of this stuff going on today, which we're talking about, the Olympics, the Rachel Nichols story continued to get more and more weird, and another injury in the playoffs. We got to do our intro. All right, on today's show, we have three quick topics as always. Our three-pointer. Let's get into that.
Here's Gasol from outside. Good, a three. Memphis by 2.
Point number one. Here recently, a leaked audio tape of Rachel Nichols talking to LeBron James's manager was released to the public from a year ago, with claims of her saying that that Marissa Taylor basically took her spot in the NBA Finals based on diversity and not based on skill. Do you think this is the end of Rachel Nichols' career?
I think the best of her career is probably behind her at this point. I don't know. If she gets back to any semblance of normalcy in her career, it's going to take a bit, I think. It's unfortunate for her. I really think, it's a private conversation that got leaked here, obviously. And you don't like hearing what she said about Maria Taylor, but it's just not great to see that for Rachel or Maria Taylor, for that matter. Just kind of a sucky situation all around here, man. But yeah, I think looking at what's developed lately, she's been removed completely from the finals coverage on ESPN. And
she has.
And I don't know. I think they're scaling her back even more after this, which, I guess makes sense for the company to save face a little bit. But, I've always liked Rachel Nichols as a reporter. She's does really well with the players and interviews and stuff. So I hate to see it, but, can't say those types of things, even if you don't assume it's just going to get leaked by somebody within the organization.
What's funny is that, like I've said this, I think that for being so apparently what happened was she was venting to LeBron James's manager in the bubble, and there was some equipment that was still turned on, and unfortunately, a person heard this and began to record it, and then decided to leak it later. So ESPN has been sitting on this for a while, and they just haven't done anything with it. I think for a person venting who was angry, it could have been a much, much worse, hidden conversation.
Yeah.
So, in no way did she talk bad about Taylor or say that she's bad at her job. I mean, she literally said that, I don't wish her like all the luck in the world or whatever, and I would love for ESPN to find something for her. Just don't find something that's already mine or whatever, basically. And I think I think all of us can kind of, had been at that point where we've been overlooked by somebody else that we didn't think was as good as us or whatever. So I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if she's let go after her contract is done. But other weird stuff has come out here recently on Twitter. Apparently, Rachel Nichols and Jimmy Butler might have hooked up in the bubble. What are your thoughts on that, Frank?
Good for Rachel, man.
Good for her. Well, she's married, so I wouldn't say good for her.
Yeah, honestly, man. No, all jokes aside, this situation kind of sucks for Rachel. You don't want to see somebody's career ruined by one single comment, but you'd rather see them judged on the body of their work. And Adam Silver has said lately about that. So I don't know. I hope it works out for her, and I hope she can maybe hook up with Jimmy Butler a few more times here before.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. So it's like, I don't know if that's real or not or whatever, or people are just making up stories. But
dude, that can't be real. That's got to be a joke.
I don't know, but
she's always been rumored or joked about.
Yeah,
being involved with players,
that's so crazy or whatever. So hopefully that's not real, because this would be like the most piled on thing ever, for her and stuff, whatever. So moving on to story number 2. Team USA has started doing their practices, and there are already injuries happening. Here recently, I believe Isaiah Stewart got hurt yesterday. The day before that was Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards had to actually pull out. And not only that, there were some comments from Luka Doncic about how he would rather win an Olympic gold than an NBA championship. First, our players going to be more and more weary if injuries keep happening? And second, is Luka right or wrong in his assessment that he'd rather have a gold?
Just addressing the injuries first.
Okay.
You hate to see it, man. You really do hate to see it, but it's just something that happens with professional basketball. It's going to keep happening. We've seen it throughout the playoffs here. I think that is a consideration for players during their off-season rehab that they're supposed to be having every 4 years or every 2 years, really, I guess, getting the Team USA back together, the main Olympic team back together every 4 years. And I think when they're thinking about whether or not they want to play and perhaps risk injury, it's less about their NBA career and the prospects of that, and more just about playing for their country and sort of achieving a goal that I would assume everybody that plays for Team USA has wanted, most of their lives, to win a gold for
maybe
Team USA in basketball.
The dream team, popped out the gate, and they were awesome back in 1992, and then 96 had Shaq and those guys, and it was still kind of cool. And then it felt by like 2000, players didn't really care as much, maybe because we were just winning so easily. Because we won a gold in 2000, but that game was not a huge, win or whatever. I mean, he gets overshadowed by the fact that Vince Carter dunked over a dude or whatever. But and then of course 2004 we got bronze. We got knocked out by I think Argentina with Ginobili and stuff, whatever. And then they went on to win the gold, and that's when the Redeem team came in with Kobe and all those guys or whatever. And they had some really good games against Spain. I just, it's kind of weird. It's like we're such an isolated sports nation, and we kind of believe to be the best at everything, that a lot of NBA players feel that there's no point in going and losing your summer and stuff to go win a gold, because they'd rather focus on getting a championship, here in the NBA. But it's just weird to think that in Europe, those guys win championships and in Africa and Australia and Asia, but to them the gold is the big thing, and it should be the big thing, right? It happens once every 4 years. They only allow 12 guys on that roster every 4 years. So, if you get injured one year, that's a whole other 4-year wait and stuff, whatever. And at that point, maybe you aren't as good. So, I mean, your chances of getting a gold are way, way, way less than winning a ring, So it's Torrey Craig's going to win a ring this year, but he'll never get, a gold medal or whatever. So, but what's funny is that I think I think Dirk also said this a long time ago, whatever, as well, that he would rather win a gold. And then Karl Malone and all those guys, talked about how that they don't agree. But Luka said the same thing. Oh, well, that's wrong. But Luka said the same thing about a gold medal and everything. But I don't know. Do you view the gold medal as a bigger achievement or a less achievement than the NBA championship?
Honestly, man, I really don't view it as more or less. I think it's a totally separate thing. I think to each their own with the players there. I can totally understand why a guy who's making 30, 20, maybe even just 5 million a year in the NBA wouldn't want to risk injury to go play for the country.
It happens.
But at the same time, like you said, it only happens every 4 years. It is such a big deal on the world stage. And, maybe not as much here in America specific to the sport of basketball, just because we have been so dominant. But I think that's kind of faded a little bit in the recent years as overseas competition has gotten better continually. And like we said, Team USA sort of started to falter there in the mid 2000s. So, I think I really like Luka saying that. I don't think Dallas Mavericks fans should be upset with him for saying that, or anybody in the NBA should, because I think for a guy in his shoes, maybe that is the ultimate goal, is beating Team USA.
That would be
is
huge.
The best in the world at basketball, the best of the best. And if he does that, then, he's the hero of Slovenia. He brought a gold medal home to Slovenia. So I could see why he says that.
And it's not only that. When we talked about the Olympic rosters and how I wanted Ja and Zion and Trey on them because they're younger and that's our current future. And then we looked at the rosters and like 10 of the guys have like never played for the Olympics and they're all like 30. So, this idea that, it's not as important is crazy because this is their only chance to get a gold, and they go down there and like, Kevin Durant gets hurt or something, they could easily get bronze or silver, and then it's gone. That, this is their only shot. I just feel like in the NBA, you probably, if you're a pretty good, like Luka's going to have 15 years basically to try and get a championship. He might only have 2 shots at like a gold, whatever and stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but let's move on. There is another injury because it wouldn't be the 2021 playoffs without another injury. Dario Saric goes down, tearing his ACL in game 1 of the NBA finals on like a really just normal play. Does this cement the fact that this is the asterisk year and not last year?
I don't want to say that this is an asterisk year. I think anybody that wins the championship this year won it fair and square, but the amount of injuries that have been piling up in the playoffs and really throughout the entire season has been
absurd,
frustrating as a fan. You feel like you're not getting the best product on the court.
Yeah.
Saric, not a big name, but he's a key player on a finals team. And to have it happen during the finals, it's not a good look. So I don't know. I don't want to say I don't necessarily buy into the narrative that this
let me pull up
increase the injuries, like the injury rate.
I'm gonna pull up all the guys who get hurt during the playoffs, man. Chris Paul was like a COVID thing, but like Conley and Donovan, Kyrie, Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown didn't play. Jamal Murray's not even on this list. Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Anthony Davis. That's just so many people. And not only that, but Phoenix went through 3 of these teams. They went through the Lakers with a hurt LeBron and a hurt Davis, and then Jazz without Conley, and then fucking Kawhi Leonard or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. I feel as though if the Suns win, this will be dogged on more than when the Warriors won. I think back in 2013, when every team that they played was also injured. Like,
it's the narrative in the NBA, man. The healthiest team, the one that makes it to the finals, the healthiest is usually going to win. The year KD was out.
Well, what's funny is the year that the Warriors won and like everybody was injured, they heard all that. And the next year is when they broke the record for like most wins or whatever, they had like 73 wins, and that they were saying that they like wanted to like prove to everybody that like wasn't a fluke. And then of course they end up losing to the Cavs because of Draymond Green kicking dude in the balls or whatever. Do you think that Dario Saric being out affects the Suns at all?
I do. I think, like I said, he was a key rotation piece on this team as a backup center. He was playing fairly well for them. He adds, he kind of spreads the floor coming off the bench. He's a decent defender, okay scorer, but you look at the guys coming behind him, you don't necessarily have that skill set to match.
Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah, you got the big guy, Frank Tank. But I like Frank Kaminsky. He's not Dario Saric, though. I think Saric is a bit more skilled, a better playmaker. He's quicker of foot, too. But I think Frank Kaminsky can come in and kind of be a salve here.
This is really going to put a lot more pressure on Ayton. If he gets into foul trouble, the Bucks need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they do, especially with I don't know, the way the Suns have been targeted Brook Lopez in the first game. They really. I feel like the Bucks need to give him some of that back.
In the first quarter, Brook like, ran down the court very, very hard, and he got back-to-back, like tall guy layups, basically, hit a three. He's doing things. He was doing all that on offense, but he was still getting killed on defense, so it's like, he was getting chopped up in that damn like pick and roll. And then they put Drew Holiday on Booker, which worked, but then Chris Paul started going off, so it's like that they need two Drew Holidays because they can't stop both of them or whatever, so it's crazy. Let's go on to our full court press, our main story of the day.
Celtics disrupting the Nets here. Rondo the loose ball to Beatrice. A little disorganized and
Today's main story is all about the NBA Finals. Pull that up. Game one went to the Phoenix Suns in a pretty, I don't want to say dominating fashion, but it was a pretty telling fashion. The biggest story, I think, was that Giannis actually came back to play, and he looked pretty damn good. Frank, do you think that Giannis is going to be okay, or the Suns are already up one and it's already over?
Well, first off, he's not human, so I don't think it matters if I think he's okay.
He's fucking Wolverine,
clearly
man.
Fine. Yeah, no, I think he looked good. He didn't look like 100% Giannis, but I think he's gonna have it what he needs, or he's gonna bring to the Bucks what they need to help win the championship. I think what they need is really, Chris Middleton scored 29. He went off. Giannis had 20. Brook Lopez had 17. You just need those other guys. Where is... really, I hate to say, you're missing Dante DiVincenzo.
I was just going to say that. It's weird to think that they really need Dante DiVincenzo.
They do. Because they need that tertiary scorer type guy.
Pat
just
Connaughton's not doing
add like 10 or 15,
Yeah, and then like Brent Forbes is just, he can shoot, but he can't do much else. It's almost like when we had Troy, what's his name? Not Troy Daniels, or was it Troy Daniels? The guy,
the 3-point shooter.
Shoot. Who?
That was Troy Daniels, the guy that just could,
okay.
He
could literally hit like 6 threes in a game, but he was 6'2". He couldn't guard anybody. Else. He couldn't rebound. He couldn't dribble. He would literally just chunk up threes. And so Brent Forbes can do a little bit more than that, but he got his ass busted up by Booker, and it's just like that's going to keep happening. So they need another. And what's even crazier is if they have Bogey from the Hawks, they're probably the favorites. And it's so weird to think that them preemptively trading for Bogdanovich back in free agency might be the one move that stops them from actually winning like a title this year, because he's exactly what they need, man.
Yeah, they could definitely use a guy like Bogey right now. I don't think they're going to look at it like if they had made that trade, they'd win a title if they don't end up winning it. But
I don't know, man.
I just, man, like, you really could use a guy like that. You look at the game and they just Drew Holiday.
He's a shooter. He's 6'5". He plays good defense. He's pretty smart. He would be a major upgrade over every other wing player. They're playing PJ Tucker at the damn 2 right now, and he's not doing anything.
Well, but I think I don't want to write off the Bucks yet, but let's talk about the Suns, man. Just what has happened to this team, dude? They last year, well outside the playoffs, they get Chris Paul. We knew they were going to be good. You add Chris Paul to the Thunder, and they're good. You add Chris Paul to a young core that's been developing for a few years, and they're in the finals. It's amazing, man. I love to see it. You like it for Monty Williams. I like it for Cameron Payne out of Memphis. Gave us a nice shout out in a pregame or postgame interview. I think it was maybe just press before the finals, but he credited off-season workouts in Memphis to his current ascendancy.
It's true. Yeah, Tim and John Moran actually worked out together, and there was like a really big, huge game here last summer during the COVID stuff or whatever, and it was like Campaign was here, John Morant, and like 4 other NBA players, plus like a few like high school kids or whatever. It was nuts. You can't really say that the Suns were far out of the playoffs because they won all 8 of their games. So if the Grizzlies go,
you're right. In the bubble, so you're right.
If the Grizzlies hadn't beaten the Bucks or whatever, they get knocked
they might
out.
have snuck in there.
Yeah, it's great. So so they showed it then that they had a little bit of range there, and then I still think it's crazy that Philly drafted Bridges. and he wanted to play for them, and then they traded him to the damn Suns. And I was just like, that's so weird. He's so good, and he's been so enigmatic for them because he is the perfect like 3-and-D guy because he can shoot a little bit, ball handle a little bit. He's awesome at defense. He's athletic. He's long. He runs hard. He's just the perfect player out there on the wings. So like him and Jay Crowder only have to like be like the 3-and-D dudes and like them and not do anything else besides like play like defense and wait for like a pass. And so like Booker's really taking off and stuff. And then Chris Paul, it just so happened that the one thing that they really needed was a point guard, and Chris Paul became available, and this is probably his last good year, and he's going to get that ring. It's almost like when the Mavericks got Kidd and then ended up winning the title. It was like Kidd was that last piece or whatever. Yeah. Except the Suns team's a lot younger than them.
Man, I'm sure Budenholzer was shaking in his boots watching the Suns get past the Clippers in the West, knowing what Trae Young was doing to his defense. Because you see Chris Paul, he's just doing what Trae Young was doing, but even more. I mean, in the first game, he was just dissecting Brook Lopez and everybody else off the dribble.
I don't know. I mean, like, do you put Giannis at the 5?
At this point, after the first game, I'm not seeing enough out of Lopez defensively to warrant keeping him in the. I mean, he's hurting you.
I mean, you definitely can't play Bobby Portis and Brook together again on the court. I mean, that was like a fucking like it was awful.
Yeah, I think fiasco. Yeah.
Just too slow. They're for rotations are not great. It was not good. I mean maybe throw out Giannis at the 5, Tucker at the 4, keep Chris at the 3, put your next best shooter at the 2.
But can Giannis really guard DeAndre Ayton? That's the question.
Well, if anybody on their team could, it's the non-human Giannis. So I mean yeah. He's almost as heavy as him, and
he's traditionally a better post defender than he is perimeter.
Yeah, I mean, try it at least. I mean, like you don't want to go down wondering like, what if? As long as Giannis came to me and told me that like that his knee was good to go, I would just trust him.
Yeah. But
do you think that this goes longer than 5?
I do. I think if I had to make a prediction, I'd say Suns in 6. I think it's going to be a really good series. We've
been really bad at our picks, so
yeah, we are. We are. So like, maybe we shouldn't make predictions. I know, but
I feel like whoever I pick, the opposite team's going to win. So, and not only that, apparently out of the 14 series, the team that goes up in the first game, only 8 of those teams won the series. It's 8-6. So winning game 1 doesn't really matter that much. It's really going to be about like game 2 and 3 probably.
It's just one game. Yeah, it's ultimately just one game. But what we saw in game 1 really does. The Bucks need to change some things, and Definitely. Whether or not they do that, I think that will be what determines how long the series goes. I think the Bucks. I mean, I don't want to write the Bucks off here. They've got Giannis. They've got Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton's going off.
Yeah.
If they put the pieces together, they have it. They can do this. But with the way Chris Paul is playing, DeAndre Ayton's just coming out looking like Tim Duncan. Devin Booker's just taking his game to a whole nother level. Yeah. And they've got the supporting crew. They've got Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Cam Payne. They're all playing their asses off, man. I really think this team wants it. They want it for Paul. They want it for Monty Williams. They want it for themselves, man. So I don't know. This is kind of a tough one for me because I like both of these teams. I would like to see both of them win. And I love Booker and I love Giannis as young stars in the league. So it's kind of a win-win or a lose-lose situation here. You don't want to see one of these guys lose, but you also would love to see either of them win. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. Do you think that the Bucks fire Budenholzer if they lose him like 4 or 5?
No, there's no way. I was making jokes early in the postseason about, if they got bounced by Miami or, whoever, the Nets, that Budenholzer would be out. But he's a part of the culture at this point. He's gotten him to the finals now. He's Giannis's coach. I don't see him getting rid of him after this run that they've made, even if they come up short.
All right. So I assume it's going to be the Suns and Chris Paul finally gets his ring and then he can ride off into the sunset and then trip his horse. So moving on to our final thoughts, our buzzer beaters.
Lillard, long range 3, and it's good! Years ago, Lillard hit a 3.
All right. My final thought of the day is Larry Brown, at the age of 81, is coming out of retirement to come be an assistant coach for Anthony Hardaway in Memphis. He quit a couple years ago. I think he was coaching over at like SMU in the same conference. And I guess maybe he's just got that itch or something and he's just wanting to do something with his life. But I can't imagine that he hits the road and is doing any type of real in-home visits or anything. This has to be more of a position of him just kind of like being like in the gym coaching or something. Do you think it's any more than that, Frank?
No, I think it's as much as it's just nice to have the name on the staff for Penny, the oversight for Penny. Like, he's obviously going to be a great guy for Penny to just go bounce ideas off of. And then I think, like you said, he's not going to be the one going blazing the trails, scouting and all that stuff. I think he's going to be the one in there with
and Bama
in the gym, pulling players aside, telling them with his fucking like 80 years of experience or whatever,
so old,
like how to play the game. And like you said, I don't think he'd be doing this at the age of almost 81 if he didn't have a passion for it. And I think that's a big weapon in Penny's quiver there, man. I really like this signing. I like the hire. I think Larry Brown, the kids are going to love him, man. He's a legendary coach.
Do you think that maybe he's doing this to spite Roy Williams, to be like, yeah, I'm still coaching and you're not, you old fuck?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, man.
Harrington was saying that like Roy Williams is golfing right now, and that like he like really loved golf, and that I guess his passion for that just like outgrew his basketball passion stuff, whatever. What is your final buzzer beater, Frank?
All right, so I'm just gonna highlight a player here, just a legend in the making. 6'7" guard from Columbia, South Carolina, age 30, about to win his first title in the NBA after a long and storied journeyman career. Torrey Craig, man. Give it up for Torrey Craig, everybody. He's on the Suns and the Bucks. This guy is a mastermind of NBA basketball. It doesn't matter who wins this. He's going to get it. I know you've seen it on Twitter and everything. What I want to talk about is whether or not this is the new strategy for super teams going forward. Are we going to see LeBron do this? Are we going to see KD do this?
Yeah.
Is KD going to sign with the Lakers and then demand a trade to the Nets again? Who knows? It might happen. But
what's crazy about that? So I've been watching a lot of like F1 racing because I'm weird. Their contracts end during the actual season. So like if you're driving for Ferrari, like you're signed from like 2019 to like 2020, but your contract will run out with like 10 races left. And so you just keep racing for like, Ferrari, and stuff. It's weird, right? What if that becomes the new norm where it's like, yeah, I'm going to play 55 games for you. That's it. And they sign like 30 game contracts. Actually, they just bounce around to all these teams. And at some point, one of them's going to get a ring that way. It's going to be great.
Man, as crazy as that kind of sounds right now with the increased cost of contracts and everything and the way the salary cap just keeps moving and fluctuating, maybe we do get partial year contracts.
Well,
eventually.
I mean, like, didn't like Andre Drummond play for the Pistons, the Cavs, and the Lakers this year?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, if one of them had gotten there, he's getting a ring, man. Pretty crazy. It's also nuts. Just because you play on like another team doesn't necessarily mean that you actually get a ring. That team has to also agree to give you a ring.
Right.
Because back when Toronto won, Jonas was there for the first 30, 40 games, and
they
didn't get him.
Did our boy dirty. They said you were part of the trade that got us a ring, baby. Yeah. You don't get one of these.
And like he'd been there for like 5 years. Just
he was just as integral a piece in that championship run as Kawhi Leonard. He just was the one being moved to get those pieces in
Give
there.
Jonas's ring. Hashtag Justice for Jonas.
Man.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for checking us out this Thursday. We will eventually get back to Memphis Mondays. I just got so much stuff. Both of us have full-time jobs, and then I've got other editing stuff, another YouTube show, and a podcast. I've got so much crap going on, and it's all mediocre. So, but I promise we will get back to Memphis Mondays, and I think our next thing is going to be 5 players on the board that we think could fall to the Grizz and how they could affect the team going forward. So look forward to that. And of course, next Thursday, we'll probably finish up with the finals, probably have more draft talk, maybe. Who knows? It's getting kind of close. Frank, any last words?
Just thanks for all the love and support lately, guys. I appreciate it. If you just want to drop us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, any little bit helps. We love seeing it. We will respond. We love seeing the conversations in the comments. So,
or if y'all have any thoughts for a full court press segment, something that you would like us to talk about, hit us up in the comments. Also, we can always take a look at that. But until next time, later. That's also where you say bye.
Later, everybody.
That's the finale on the first round for Vince Carter.
Oh, it's over! It's over, ladies and gentlemen!